Hi everyone, it's Mary from A Passion for Paper. Thank you for visiting my channel. I'm here with some Scrappy Notepads and some clusters and two of the adorable little booklets that I have made for my Etsy shop, A Passion for Paper. And I just want to give you a closer look at some of these items. So again, my Etsy shop is A Passion for Paper shop, and my name is Mary, and I love making things for junk journals, vintage style journals, and these are some scrappy notepads. And what I've done here is I have sewn some sari silk in kind of a ruffle pattern on top of some coffee dyed lace, and that coffee dyed vintage lace is from a wedding dress that I won in an auction, and I'm going to be using that for a long time because there's a lot of lace on there. This is a beautiful French book page, and then we have some just different little scraps people could use to write their notes on. I love these old vintage pattern pieces, so I have one of those in here, and this is vintage music sheet, and then another different vintage pattern, and I love that this one has the writing in English, French, and Spanish, which is pretty cool. And then some more little scrappy notepad pieces. These are all pieces of paper that I have coffee dyed and tea dyed. I make special dye with a mixture of coffee and tea, and some of them have that beautiful grungy patina, like this one here. And this one has actually a little image of a stamp, Republique Française. This is a digital that's also been coffee and tea dyed. And then another music page. And this is from Vintage Sheet Music. Prelude to something there, it says on the back. And then the last page, which you can see again, has that beautiful patina and a little grungy look there to the edge. And then the back of it is, you can see the lovely stitching and then all these beautiful marks and shading from the coffee and tea dye process. These are a special recipe that I use to get my papers nice and grungy, and I do sell a lot of grungy index cards in both 4x6 and 3x5 sizes. So here's the Scrappy Notebook number 2 for this set, and I do sell these in sets of 3. So this one, again, these are all pretty much matching with the coffee dyed vintage wedding dress lace, and then on top of that is the sari silk, which is also coffee dyed. And then there's these lovely papers. Now this is a music sheet, vintage, the same one that was in the other set. I like to kind of match them up for the patina. This has got a beautiful grunginess on the back. So some are more grungy on the front, some are more grungy on the back. This one, again, love this. Gather Frounce and Frunce with the 3 different languages. And then some more of that beautiful patina from the coffee and tea dye, a different, slightly different color, and vintage pattern paper, some more little sheets of paper with a little bit of that grungy on the back, and then coupe quatre. This, I loved these. These were some directions on how to sew this particular pattern, and these are also vintage. I love getting vintage patterns from different places, and I collect those as well. And this is again a grungy kind of tea and coffee dyed paper. This one actually has lines on the back, which is kind of fun. And then here's another one, and this beautiful vintage music sheet. This one says Fuga on the back. We have a very grungy page here. You can see there's even been a little bit of part of the paper is ripped off of this, and so it's like even more grungy, and again a little ripped at the bottom to have extra grungy. Wow, this one is beautiful. As I said, some are more grungy than others, so this one really got a nice grunge to it. And there's swirls. It's like very pretty different patterns in the swirl there. So that's the back. This one. And then the third one in the set of 3 is very similar across the top. And I have here pleat flat based raw edges. This is just a piece of that vintage pattern paper. And then all these lovely grungy speckled coffee and tea dyed scraps. Again, some more of this music sheet, another paper, and the 3 different languages for the word cuff, and See and Sew Butterick pattern. Another, this one says Romanticism. It's little coffee dyed snippet piece or scrap piece, some lines on it. There's the back. So all different shades of coffee and tea dye. They're all from different batches, which I like to mix them up so you get a variety of colors. And one more pattern piece. I have several in this one. And then, so you could also rip things out of here. Say you wanted to use a pattern piece and something else, you could just rip it across and take it and go. You could write a to-do list or quotes, all sorts of possibilities for these scrappy notepads. I had one customer leave such a lovely review, and she said she had bought some of these for her daughter to put on her desk at work. I thought, oh, how fun that would be. Just, you know, I don't know where she worked, but I feel like that would be a conversation starter. It's like, oh, what is this? This is my little scrappy notepad. So these basically have a little bit of a sewing theme going on, and they're the first ones I've made that have, you know, featured so much of the sewing. Not only the pattern pieces, which I have put these in other things, but this is the first time I started adding in these parts, this one and this one. So I love the color on that, and these I didn't even tea dye, they're just that color. So that is Scrappy Notepads. And then I have another set of these lovely Scrappy Notepads that I just made. And these are more similar to the ones that I have made previously and have sold out. They're the French theme. So I do like to do a lot of them with the French theme. I am in love with France. So I have a lot of French book pages, and as you can see, I have a title page up here, or the title, Les Rouges, and so a little bit of French text there. And this one has the coffee dyed lace from that wedding dress, but on top of it is this beautiful book page, and they're all from 3 different books. So here's the other one, and the third one, slightly different title there. And they all have the coffee dyed vintage wedding dress lace. This is the same music sheet that was in the other one, but this is cool. These are little pieces of some French digital antique papers that I have coffee dyed. And so those are in here, and then some more music, regular coffee tea dye. This is really special. I just love this. So I have the French book page, and then what I've done is used a stencil and painted white acrylic paint over it. So that is how it comes out. It looks a little bit like the ones that people do with the texture paste, but I just really like how this comes out. There's still a tiny bit of texture, but it's not as raised as the texture paste ones. I just think it's such a pretty look to have that white on, especially because this paper is older. It's from a vintage French book, so it has that beautiful color, you know, patina on the sides there, especially where it's gotten more weathered and worn. And there's the other side is just regular French book page. And then this is from a different French book page, and I love that number there, 400. I think that's so pretty. This is coming from the side. This is, you know, up and down, so a little bit of mix match here and there with the different book pages. And those are French authentic vintage book pages, and these are just some more beautiful colors of the coffee and tea dye mixture that I put them in. Some are lighter, some are darker, some have more grunge to them. So there's a few of those different sizes. And then this is another beautiful piece from my I purchased some of these, so I have the originals of this one from France. I believe these were from Sarah Daniel at Crafty Paper Bits. It's one of the very first things that I purchased years ago. And then I've branched out and I've bought things from other sellers of French ephemera as well. Just love everything French. As you can see here, I have the Eiffel Tower. So excited when I found the Eiffel Tower stamp. And so I have little book page there that's French, and it's, you know, right on top of this beautiful coffee dyed paper. A couple of different types of coffee dye there. Now this Eiffel Tower is actually stamped on a piece of fabric, which is so cool. I have a beautiful roll of this fabric, and I also sell the fabric in my Etsy shop. I haven't yet made these to sell. I may. Let me know in the comments if you're interested. But I do have this fabric that I put a stencil on. I have a lot of stencils that I then spray with my coffee dye mixture, and I do sell those, and I've had quite a few sales of those. I may need to restock some of the sizes. I do 6x6, 3x4, and 3x5, I believe, something like that. This is another one of these. Now this is not one of my originals. This is a beautiful digital from Ruby and Pearl, and it was the French document kit. I just thought this was so pretty. I love using them in my Scrappy Notepads and my journals and booklets. This is that beautiful grungy look, and this is another one. So several of those. A lot of them have torn ends, so they're, you know, just like scrappy bits, but enough to write some notes on or put some quotes there. And then again, more music, original music. You could always rip a page or two out if you wanted to. Another beautiful coffee dyed grunge there. And then This is the back. The third one, we have number 89, the beautiful old music, and another piece of my French document, some more scraps. This one is Madame Bovary. Love that book in French. And then these are some beautiful markings, and you just never know how each one is going to turn out. They're all different. That's one of the things I love about it. So this has not been inked. That's just how it gets from the coffee and tea dye process that I put it through. Just love that. It looks like it's been inked, but you have to rip them first. That's the clue. So here's a page. This one I think might be another one from the Ruby and Pearl batch. And then this is another one of these gorgeous pages. So it's a French book page with this white acrylic paint that has been painted onto it. And then it's just regular French book page on the back. Wow, this is a really pretty grungy coffee tea dyed page. There's the back of it. Some more lighter colors. The tea and coffee dyed. A lot lighter color here. And then another darker one. And the back. And another one of those music sheets. And the back page. And I love these threads. I try to make them nice and messy. I think that looks so beautiful. Just love that. So these are there, and at the bottom it's a little bit grungified. So these are a set of Scrappy Notepads, the French theme, and these will be coming very soon to my Etsy shop. I have other ones there too that are French theme. I love doing the French Scrappy Notepads. I have several, actually. These are just the latest ones that I made. And then up next, I did want to just show you some clusters. I made these this weekend as well. So these are just fun little clusters, and you can you know, use them as is. You can add embellishments, you can add, you know, more things. They're just all with these lovely coffee tea dyed patina on this index card. Kind of see the little bit of crazy stitching there. And I have extra threads. I have coffee dyed fabric here and here, coffee dyed lace. This is been inked around this edge of this heart. And the book page has not been coffee dyed, so that's just a book page that has been inked around the edges with Tim Holtz ink vintage photo. Here's the back, and you can kind of see each one. Now these are not French book pages, but you can see Monsieur. So it's got a French theme to it, whichever one I pulled this out of. I have a lot of books with French themes, so I don't remember which book I pulled these out of, but these are just lovely little neutral heart-shaped clusters that you could put in a junk journal. Oh, I do want to let you know, I guess you could kind of count them. So 1, 2, 3, about 3 inches across, 1, 2, 3, about 3 inches tall, give or take. They're less than 3. They're like 2.5 maybe tall. But it's hard to say because this is coming up here if you count that or not. But it gives you an idea. Let you see it there with the squares. That's kind of helpful. Okay, so those are clusters. I have a few different sets that I've made. I was sold out of clusters for quite a while, so I said I better get busy making some more of these. These are fun. let's take a closer look here. So I've got French book page here, and then I've got distress ink. This fabric has been, oh no, this is fabric that was already that color. It looks very similar to my coffee dyed fabric. It's vintage, all of these items, vintage. Then of course this is artist paper. It's just basically like a thin mixed media paper, but it's thicker than copy paper, obviously, because it's artist paper, if that makes sense. And then this is a digital that has been printed out and coffee dyed. And then this is another index card piece. So just a lovely little cluster that you could use to embellish a page in a journal, or to put on something else, put on the front of a pocket. Gigi, I think this is one of those books by Colette, another French writer that I really like. And this is another, these are all French book pages in these. This was a coffee dyed piece of my fabric. So this is the one I was looking at. The stencil there, I know it says weekend on it, but you can't read it on this one, but I recognize the stencil. And this is, again, these are all just little pieces of this digital, and then they all have a little piece of index card, and they're on this lovely artist paper that has been coffee and tea dyed. So there's another set of 4 clusters, and then the last set of clusters I'm going to share with you have these delightful words on them. Love word clusters. So start off with joy, and this one has been on coffee or tea dyed paper, distressed inked, some vintage fabric, a little bit of that coffee dyed wedding dress lace, and then 2 pieces of this artist paper that has been ripped and coffee and tea dyed. This one says faith. Lovely mixture there, and just machine messy sewn. We've got one that says hope, and lovely piece one. I'll have different fabrics and lace and threads. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to show you today. The very last thing would be these 2 booklets. These are also available. These I actually already listed in my shop, but I wanted to give you a closer look. So these are all 10-page booklets, including the cover. This has a beautiful grungy patina on the front. It's just an image of a postcard, basically. It goes like that. When it's opened up, you can kind of see the whole thing. It's folded in half. And then there's the inside, and then they all contain at least 1 French authentic vintage book page. So this is a larger book page. It's got 2 sides. There you go, see it. And then we have more of these beautiful coffee and tea dyed papers with that patina. This one, so they're all contain at least 1 French book page. Now that some contain 2, but they all have at least 1. So this is a second book page that's a little smaller than the first one, but I love the French language. It's so beautiful. This is the inside. It has a 2-hole pamphlet stitch, and basically I tied it in a knot, a double knot, and then I put it in a bow. So you could always untie the bow and let the embroidery floss dangle down below if you wanted to put a charm on it or something. This is the other side of this French book page. Mon ami. More of the coffee tea dyed paper, the larger French vintage book page, and some of the coffee dyed, tea dyed paper that's part of the cover. So this is just regular copy paper, and it has been coffee or tea dyed. Okay, then this is the second one. They're sold in a set. So this is, the second one has a more elaborate cover. It's got a digital image that I machine sewed onto, what's this here? I'm trying to remember what this is. It looks like a tea bag. I think this is a tea bag, and this is a more of that beautiful wedding dress. Coffee dyed lace, that's vintage, and there's the little stitch to a whole pamphlet stitch. Now this cover is a little thicker than copy paper, and it's torn, and it has that beautiful edging, just gorgeous. This is that artist paper, so it's like thicker than copy paper. It's not super thick like a heavy watercolor, it's just like a light mixed media paper. And then this is a lovely little frame on the inside from the sewing, which I think is cool. And then I have the messy stitching. And again, more coffee and tea dyed papers. I think it's fun to see the edges. And then here's the French book page. This is the same French book that had a page in the other one. This one's 439. So you can see that's quite a lengthy book. Have a lot of those around. That is a French vintage authentic book, and it's got a beautiful color. I love this book because I don't know if it's showing up so well, but it's the patina. It's a little darker right around the edges, so I think it just is so nice. This is some more coffee dyed paper. It's the coffee tea dyed mixture I put together.